Okay, today what I'm going to show you is how to create clickable links in Microsoft Excel so that if you have a list of web addresses that you can click on them and you can go from your Excel spreadsheet through onto your web browser and view the page there. Now, if you look at cell B2 at the very top, we have one that works. So I'm going to click it and show you how that actually works for us. It'll take a wee minute to open up, but what's going to happen is it's going to go to the Google homepage or the Google UK homepage. And you can see that it is taking its time, but it is working for us. Now, while that's doing that, if we go back to the Excel spreadsheet, and we can see that Google has opened up. If we go back to the Excel spreadsheet and look at cell B3, we'll see we have what is effectively text. All it says is www.elephant.co.uk, and Excel won't recognise it as such. Now, I'm going to show you one way of doing it to convert this into something you can use as a clickable hyperlink, and then I'll show you one way that doesn't work, and then I'll show you how we can do it for a huge amount of stuff like we have on the screen at the moment. Now, to do it for a number of individual links, what you do is you select the link. So in this case here, I've got cell B3 selected. I then go to my Insert option and go down to Hyperlink, which opens up a dialog box like this. The link to one is empty. Underneath we have Display, and here we have the web address. So we copy the web address, we highlight it, and press Command-C on a Mac or Control-C on a PC. Then we go to the Link To box and press Command-V on a Mac or Control-V on a PC. And if you now look at the link to, what you'll see is it's now showing something different. Instead of just being a normal www address, we have the http:// and then we have our web address. And this is important because our Excel needs to know, or Excel needs to have the HTTP part before it will recognize this as a web address. Now, to finish converting this to convert it into a clickable link, I just go down and press OK. And if you now look at cell B3, you can see it's turned blue. And if I hover over it with my pointer now turns into a little hand, and we can see that a yellow box appears showing that if we press that, it's going to take us to the website, and actually displays the web address there. Now, that's great if you want to do it for individual links. You can't, however, simply do that for a selection of links by selecting them all, which is really annoying. So I'm just going to press Ctrl-Z or Command-Z on a PC and turn the elephant.co.uk one back into normal text. I'm going to go into cell C3, and if you have looked up on Google, you'll probably have found that this is suggesting one way of creating hyperlinks. And what you do is you press the equal sign to create a formula, then you type in hyperlink, and then you open your brackets, and I click cell B3 and close my brackets. Now, that looks brilliant. That looks like a really simple way to do this. We can now see in cell C3 we have www.elephant.co.uk, and that looks like it should work. However, it won't, because Excel doesn't really know how to follow this address. So I'll click it and I'll show you what happens. There we go, I've clicked it and we get this dialog box opening up saying, cannot open the specified file, because Excel doesn't know how to follow it to get the internet address. So I'm going to delete column C3 or column C here, and I'll show you how we actually do it. Now, going back to what we talked about earlier on, Excel needs to have the HTTP part before we get a usable link. So for instance, if I go to cell C2 and type in http://www.google.com and then press enter, it looks like a hyperlink, and if I hover over it, we get the wee hand icon and the web address pops up and it looks good. So that will actually work. And you can create your own hyperlinks by typing it out in full yourself. However, if you have 1,000 things that you want to create or turn into hyperlinks, that's simply not going to be feasible. So I'm going to delete that, but we're going to use the principle. So I now go to column A, and I go to the first of the ones I want to convert. So that's A3, and I type in http:// and press enter. Now I want to copy that for the entire length of the web addresses here. So I select cell A3 again, go to the bottom right corner where the little square is, hold the square down and drag it all the way down to the bottom of my list, and then let go. And as you can see, that creates, or that fills, that's copied and pasted exactly what we had in all the way down. The problem is we need to get cells A3 and B3 to combine. So we're going to use a trick that you can use for a whole load of other things as well. And all that is we go to cell C3, we press equals to create a formula. Then we use our mouse and we click cell A3, and we can see it's given us the A3 number. Then using our keyboard, you press and still using the keyboard, we put in 2 sets of double inverted commas. Then we press the and button again, and then we press with our mouse cell B3 to give us the full formula. And now we're complete, we press the enter button. And that's now taken cell A3 and cell B3 and combined them. Now, I'm going to put the formula for that underneath the video in the text box, so you can see, you can get the formula in there and then you just change it to suit your spreadsheet. But you can use it just like I have in the video. Now, what I want to do is I'm going to select cell C3 again, and we're going to do exactly like we did before, highlight it and then drag down to the bottom of our list, and we'll drag down one more, I missed. And that gives us what looks like a web address combining columns A and column B, which is great. It's the first part of the process. However, if I click cell C3 and we look at the box up at the top here, what we see is that we have a formula, and Excel can't use that formula to go to the web page. So what we do is we select this entire column, or sorry, we select the link, we select the stuff that we want to copy. We select it and we press Control C on a PC or Command C on a Mac to copy, and then we go to, in this case, cell D3. And in cell D3 we hover over the box and we right click it, and we go down to Paste Special and we click it, and that opens up a dialog box that looks something like this. And depending what version of Excel you have, it will look different, but the principle will be the same. And in the Paste Special box, what we want to do is we want to go down to the Values box, or circle anyway, and check it. And what we're going to do is we're going to copy the values. And the values in this case is going to take the text that we have created, and I then press OK, and there we go. What we have here is the text that we have created is actually text, and it's no longer a formula. So if you look at cell D3, here in the cell it says http blah blah elephant.co.uk, just like C3. However, if you look up at the top here, we can actually see that it is actually text. It's no longer a formula. And that's what we want. We want this to be text rather than a formula. And if we click on all of these ones in column D, we will see that all of them are now text, which is perfect, and that's what we want. So we go to column C and we can delete it. Okay, so we still have our web addresses here in column C now, since I deleted the old one. We have our web addresses there, so we now need to turn these into hyperlinks. So the way to do that is to use a macro. And if you look in the text box underneath the video, you'll see the link to where I got the macro from, because I didn't make the macro myself, someone else did. And I'm just copying and pasting it in here to show you how to use it. So the first thing that we have to do is, I'll just pull my web browser across, if you just bear with me. Okay, here's my web browser, and this is the macro that I want to use. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start just before where it says sub, and then I'm going to drag it down to just after it says sub. And you can do this using this web page, or you can copy the one in the text in my video. You can see it's all highlighted now, start to finish, and all you do is you press Command C on a Mac or Control C on a PC, or as I'm doing here at the moment, didn't mean to do that. I'm just pressing copy. Bear with me, sorry about that. Amateur hour, eh? I selected it again and right clicking it and pressing copy. So I've now copied that, starting from just before the S of sub and ending just after the B of sub at the bottom. Now I'm just going to drag this window out of the way, and we're going to go back to Excel. Now in Excel we go to Tools, we go down to the bottom where it says Macro, and you get a pop-out arrow, and we go across to Visual Basic Editor. Now this may be different in your version of Excel, but it's the same principle. You look for Tools, you look for Macro, and you look for Visual Basic Editor. And if it's not under Tools, you still want to look for Macro and Visual Basic Editor. And if you get stuck, go on to Google, enter the type of version of Microsoft Excel you're using, whether it's 2007, 2010, or whatever the version is. I'm using 2010 here. Find out where Macro in Visual Basic Editor is, and you'll find that in the first web page of Google, no doubt. So, all I do now is I click Visual Basic Editor and we get this box or something like it opening up. Now, if we look down to the bottom, we can see that one of them, Sheet 1, then brackets, Sheet 1 is highlighted. And that's because that's the one I'm using at the moment. All the stuff above that, that's a separate spreadsheet I have open on a different screen in my computer. But the one I'm working on right now is highlighted, so I double click it and then we get this. Now, I'll just delete that because I was practicing this earlier on. So this is what you'll see. You'll see a blank box like this. And all you do is you press Command V or Control V to paste in that stuff that we just copied. And it looks like this. It starts off sub, HyperAdd, and goes all the way down to end sub. And that's all we do. And once we've done that, we just press the red button to close this window. We don't need to save it. We don't need to do anything else with it. We just press the red button to close it. And again, that looks different in the Mac than it does in the PC. In the Mac, it's in the top left corner. In the PC, it's in the top right. So I close it, and that says done. And then I want to get back onto my spreadsheet, so I just click anywhere on it, and that takes me back to my spreadsheet. I now want to select all of the things, all of the text that I want to change into hyperlinks, and I select them just like that. Then I go back to Tools, I select Tools, I go down the list until we get to Macro again. But this time, because we have created a macro, I simply go to the Macros option and choose it. And then we get this dialog box like this. And in it we have Macro, and the selected one here is Sheet 1, because that's the one that we're working on, Sheet 1. And if you look down at the bottom of my screen here, you can see it's Sheet 1 that we're working on. And then we have HyperAdd, which is what that macro that we copied was called. Now, we're going to apply the macro to the stuff that we've selected, and we can see on the left hand side that it's still selected. And all I do is I go across and I press Run. And there we go. It all turns blue, it all looks like a hyperlink we would see on the internet, which is great. So if I now hover over any one of them, my icon turns to a hand pointer, and we get the little yellow box showing us the address, http://en.wikipedia.org, blah blah blah. Or if you go down to another one, http://www.elephant.co.uk. So that all looks good, and then let's test it. Let's test it with the Wikipedia one, and I click it, and see it's turned purple to show it's a link we have now used, we've now visited. And if we just wait briefly, I hope, my web browser will open up to the Wikipedia page. And here we go. So that's it opening up, and that's now showing us how you could take what is effectively text and convert it into a clickable link that you can use in your spreadsheet. If you have any questions or if you have any comments, please leave them in the comment box underneath, and I'll get back to you. And please feel free to share the video and share it with anybody else that might find it useful. I don't know about you, but I was trying to figure out how to do this, and I was pulling my hair out trying to do it before I had to devise my own way to do it, because the stuff I found in Google just wasn't doing what I wanted it to do. Okay, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.